We're live, Mr. Wade. Good night, Belizeans at home and abroad. This is the Belizean Affairs Show number 251. 251. We just break the glass ceiling at the 250 and
250,
we're marching on.
251. Yes, sir.
And I guess at this point, we're going to be surprised. I think maybe on Friday, if I'm not mistaken, some of our predictions are going to start falling in place.
Oh, yes, sir.
Like just like checkered pieces, you know. But anyhow, my name is Leonard Brackett. I'm one of the panelists on this particular platform, and we have Mr. Roody Wade with us tonight, our next senior panel. Sorry, our next senior panelist. I turned over to him temporarily until I can clear
Thank
my
you.
throat.
Thank you, Leonard,
Thank you, Susan.
vanguard of our beautiful nation of Belize. Uh, Thank you for, yet another sitting down together in this, like you said, 251st edition of our Belizean Affairs show. We sure came a long way, my brother, and it's always a pleasure to sit in your company. I couldn't have asked for anything better. Um, so I thank you. And as always, we are a little late, 10 minutes, I think. So we proceed with our program, and the chairman for tonight will be Mr. Gregory Brackett, and he always in the background here queuing up, and because we always show and tell. We don't say nothing that they didn't say. We show it to you. So you decide, right? On that note, I want to turn it over to Mr. Leonard Brackett because he will lead us in a prayer, and then from there we will proceed on.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thanks for the opportunity to sit with you again tonight, and hopefully we get Greg to grace us with his presence too, and we just take out this bullwhip and whop them guys out of we church.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
just kidding when I say about church because
Yes, sir.
I know
Yes,
we
sir.
usually do our preliminary
Yes.
with a
Lead us in
prayer
a
and
prayer.
a little reading, and some people ask us if the church will they conduct while we do that. But I'd hope that they go back and listen to the whole program, and then get themselves, being sensitized to what the realities are that we deal with when it comes to our program, and what we try to provide, contribute to the general public as a public benefit. So therefore, I won't belabor any longer. I'll just go ahead and say the prayer and turn it back over to you, sir.
Thank you.
Divine loving Father, once again we come before thy presence, asking that thou would hearken unto our supplications. We pray that thou mayest continue to guide and protect and bless us and our family members, friends and loved ones, wherever they are. Thou knowest them all by name and number. Please continue to give us wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, and the ability and fortitude and strength in order to impart some of that virtue that does allow us to partake of. We pray that thou mayest bless also our country of Belize, its people, and its leadership. We also pray, Lord, that thou would bless the United States, its people and leadership, and the rest of humanity, especially those people who are in wars and hurricanes and tornadoes and fire and all kind of devastation. Please be merciful unto us all. Nourish our hearts, our desires, even our most secret thoughts. Help us, give us a bit of reprieve. We thank you for having heard our prayers and having allowed us to live long enough to see the guns in the Middle East being silenced at least for a little while. Please continue to be merciful unto those people. We ask these mercies in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you, Leonard. I'll
So you're welcome, sir.
proceed on with right into the. I continue here on the book of Job. Job, I'll do chapter 25, 1 to 10. It reads, Why are not times of judgment kept by the Almighty? And why do those who know him never see his days? Some move landmarks, they size flocks and pastures them. They drive away the donkeys of the fatherless. They take the widow's ox for a pledge. They thrust the poor off the road. The poor of the earth all hide themselves. Behold, like wild donkeys in the desert, the poor goes out to their toil, seeking games. The wasteland yields food for their children. They gather their fodder in the field, and they glean the vineyards and the wicked man. They lie all night naked, without clothing, and have nothing and have no covering in the cold. They are wet with the rain of the mountain and cling to the rock for lack of shelter. There are those there are those who snatch the fatherless child from the breast, and they take pledge against the poor. They go about naked, without clothing, hungry, they carry shaves, shaves. Among the olive row of the wicked, they make oil. They tread the vine presses, the wine presses, but suffer thirst. From out of the city, the dying groan, and the soul of the wounded cries for help. Yet God changes no one with wrong. That's my reading from Job, chapter 24, 1 to 10. Uh, my people, know there's a lot going on in our country. We here on this Belizean Affairs show, we speak about things that happen here in this country, the way people are living, whether good or bad, the ills that we are facing. There are many. Those who profited in the past administration, they love the ills of the past administration. Those who profit from this People's United Party administration love whatever they do. Because why? They profit. But there are many in this country who do not profit either ways. But what they do profit on that particular day of an election is maybe a little hands out of $50, of $20. Some may get up to $300 in this country. You have outside of observers come to this country to observe free and fair and democratic election. But what do they see? What do they see? I ask. This is an ongoing system. This is where this two-party system have this country, where the poor, like I'm talking about, the poor and less fortunate, subject themselves on that day for a little hands out. And when they get elected, the next day they start crying, well, you know, I shouldn't have me. I shouldn't have me. And they rumble and go to bed hungry again because that little $550 goes nowhere. That little drink that given all the time goes nowhere, and the promise never comes. Those who live it know exactly what I'm talking about because I have seen it. I haven't lived the promises or the hand because I have not taken any hands out from any of them. Promises, don't believe in that from any of them because I see and I could think for myself, right? And I speak for myself, but again, I speak on the things that I have seen that they have done to my people. Am I happy with that? No, I'm not. That's why I talk about it. Do they like that? No. Who loves the truth? Who likes the truth? No one. But that gonna stop me? No. Can they come with any promise to me? No. So I'm just saying this because this country is in an election mode, and maybe Friday there is a special sitting on the House of Representatives, a special sitting. So it is of my belief that this man Johnny Briceño will announce to the nation and the world that Belize will be going into an election, and he will dissolve the House and go through the protocol that he was supposed to go, and then yet it will be illegal election held in Belize number 3. Illegal as per our constitution. Constitution of Belize, not the Constitution of Palestine, not the Constitution of Mexico or the United States or wherever. The Constitution of Belize demands that this country have equal representation, and so far it is far due. Redistricting, far due. Past government, we see what they did. They took us to the ICJ, right? Now, who does that? Were we any imminent threat from Guatemala? No, and yet to this day, Dean Barrow had not come to the nation, or Briceño had not come to the nation and says, this is what Guatemala is taking us to the ICJ for, X, Y, and Z, and they explain to the nation why we are going to court. Any fool knows that when you go to court, you have to know why you're going to court, whether for stealing, murder, or whatever. I dare any Belizean right now to call in on this show or text in and says why we are at the ICJ. What is the charges? I dare any Belizean. They do not know what Guatemala is claiming. And that's a fact. So, there we go. My people, we are in an election mode. And like I say, Friday, it is my belief that this man, Johnny Briceño, and after Friday, he's going to be a regular John Joe across on the streets, just like me and you. So he cannot come with nothing, because he will be a regular Belizean on the street after he calls election. And in fact, not only him, all his minions that sit in that house, right? So for those who do not know, my minister this or my this, you'll have to stop that as soon as that man call general the day of election and dissolve the house. He'll be just a regular. Go ahead, Leonard. You want to say something? Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Just based on what you said just now, or remind us that he'll be just a regular civilian. Uh, there are
True.
little peculiarities to that particular statement, but I wanted
That's
to
how I
make a
see
joke. Wait. I wanted to make a statement which is more like a joke, right? At that point, all of them are equal, are on the same level as the rest, any and all other civilians. So we could grab them both and arrest them, and hopefully we could get a DPP who is still going to be in office until the next one get put in place, and make that DPP pull one Donald Trump on there. Grab all of them both and send them for and make them get tried by the DPP in the interim until the next government gets signed, until they win the next election.
exactly.
Because that's going to take a few days.
So right on
But
that.
I'm just kidding. I'm just messing around because the
There
guys
will
deserve to
be
be in
a
jail.
regular
They
John Joe
deserve to be in
Leonard.
jail.
Their name will have they have to visit their constituency, use the taxpayers' money that they have embezzled, use the
Exactly.
taxpayers' equipment that they have embezzled, and go to the people and beg them again for another term. Beg. So that their name will be on the ballot, just like my name will be on the ballot, right? It will be there. So
Mr. Chairman, uh,
we have Mr.
close out your
Chairman.
thought. No, no, finish close out your thought. I was just trying to bring your attention. Close out your thought, sir.
Yes, sir. Um, like I say, we will all be one, right? And there will be a new entity on that ballot box. We'll call a Belizean Justice Movement. You see, hear the media talk about that, because we are nobody. We have not been there collecting tax from the Belizean people. We have that time with big corporation, Ashcroft and all them that throw money to both parties, right? See, we are nobody. See, Love FM come to us, Channel 5 come to us. You don't see them because we are nobody. We don't have money to give them, right? So my people, the Belizean Justice Movement will be there, right? As a new entity and ready to take charge of this nation because we are capable, right? We will bring back Belize to the Belizean people where it's slowly slipping away. A lot of people don't know to see that, but it's slowly slipping away, right? Big corporation, it's all about money grabbing right now. It's all about selling out our country right now. And it's all public knowledge, right? Public knowledge. We will give social justice to the Belizean people. We will do what's right by the Belizean people, like, for instance, healthcare. So, in a deplorable condition, we will make sure that our people are properly taken care of, our hospitals are properly taken care of, properly staffed, properly equip our security forces. I don't know why this two-party system is so afraid to properly equip our security forces. Why? What is so hard? The things that you go beg for, right? Beg for some good equipment for the security forces. You're all beggars, past and present administration, all have on hands out to outside entity for help, right? When we have enough money in here to take care for our own, right? Where is the money, all the tax that you have collected over the millions, thousands of years? What do we have to show for it? We still have a corrupted two-party system. Corrupted, right? So all this, there's only a few people in this country and out abroad are seeing the ills and the corruption that's in this country. And only a few people that is calling them out, right? We're calling them out and we're districting, right? Something that we need to be done. Look what they're doing. Fighting us. Tooth and nail just to Mr. Man. Bossman, please, Mr. Bossman, say where the Constitution say here, man. Please honor the Constitution, man. What is so hard? That's all we want to do. We are not fighting Johnny Briseño. Like what he says, national TV, media, we are not fighting that man. But that's what he says. We are telling him what to do. Stop bastardize our constitution. And then, I like to just for the end of this, I'll say, I trust and believe in the court. The court is there to honor our constitution and to police our constitution and the rule of law and do the right thing, right? As to law. So I have all faith in the courts that they will do the right thing on that day, right? So, my people, call on your elected representative and tell them before they go and dissolve the House Friday, please do it before Friday, that you, the people, want them to do redistricting before the next general election. Not like what Briseño said, that he will do it, yes, this time, because he was to do it from 2020, right after he wins. Oh, yes, it's needed and we will do it. You see where we at? 2025. Has that man done it? No, he say he kicked the ball down the road again, and went publicly. And he says, yes, when we get elected, yes, the next after the election, we will do redistricting because it's necessary. Could believe that fool, right? My people, make that mistake again and elect that man, and you will see exactly what I'm talking about. Back to you, Mr. Chairman. We're
I switch over
oh, oh, oh.
to the regular chairman. He's
Yes,
available
today,
for a
yeah, the
while.
regular
That's all
chairman,
right.
yes,
Greg, you to you, sir.
yeah, that's
Good night, gentlemen.
Good night, sir.
It's always a pleasure to sit with you guys virtually on the platform. Good night to the people at home and abroad. Welcome to this 251st edition of Belizean Affairs.
amen.
Mr. Wade, I want to congratulate you for being a part of Belize democracy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. And I'll die that way.
Tonight, people at home and abroad and gentlemen, I want to go back to the beginning of the PCC Act when they came out to educate the public, and I want to show you, the public at home and abroad, what really was happening. And I want you to see why it is so important that the present government has taken care of its internal policies and external policies, because things like UNCAC, redistricting, and all those stuff should have been done before we get a ruling from the ICJ, which in I believe personally we should not have been at the ICJ on a whole,
Likewise. Likewise.
because we had so much country voted for us for our independence, and all we had to do is forget the rest. Because you know why, people at home and abroad? Guatemala was at bar to the Commonwealth. They couldn't touch us. So life would have
A lot
went
of
on.
Mr. Chairman, a lot of them don't know that, or they know it and they just refuse to
Well,
honor that.
tonight, Mr. Wade, I intend to show and tell
Thank
and
you.
let the people see why we must do redistricting so our constitutional right of equal protection can be done. That is the only way democracy can survive in this country. And you cannot have democracy when you have a one party government. With that said, let's go to the first step, gentlemen and people at home and abroad.
The PCC is mandated to carry out educational campaigns, consultation campaigns, and then to write the final report that will be submitted to the National Assembly. And it is an 18-month period that they've been given to do this. I know that there have been some sessions, some educational sessions arranged so far. I think those were done not through the PCC, but rather through individual organizations. On Saturday, I attended one organized by the National Creole Council at Swift Hall, and it was a very educational session that we were there at. Attorney Anthony Sylvester was explaining the Constitution and explaining the role of the PCC. I didn't have the chance to go to the one this morning at UB, but I want to try to make as many as I can. And then in terms of the PCC official consultation process, they will be publishing a schedule so that everybody knows where they will be in which particular district. They will also be utilizing social media. So I encourage all Belizeans to somehow contribute, learn about the Constitution, and certainly offer their recommendations.
Gentlemen and people at home and abroad, I want to show you tonight how the government has misled us into believing that this educational campaign was really to educate the people when they had all intent and purpose to use it as a campaign to lead the country to become a republic. And I will prove it tonight. Gentlemen, I want to
Uh,
keep the answers to 5 minutes
uh,
because we have a full show. Go ahead, Mr. Brackett.
Mr. Chairman, can I just make a statement in regards to the first tip that you made and what that gentleman who's supposed to be in charge of the whole process as the minister in charge of the whole of that constitutional process was advocating? I
Go
wrote an
ahead,
article
sir.
to say that the gentleman is responsible for a job that's too big for him and that he was not competent and capable enough to be able to handle. And as time went by, he has proven me right over and over and over. As specifically as regards to the last tip you just played. Why is he going to intimate that the PCC was set up to educate the people and then to write a report and bring it to the Prime Minister so that they can decide what they're going to do with the Constitution? They never asked us to elect them for that grand agenda. I don't know anybody else that could tell me that yes, they did, because I'm on top of everything that happens. But nevertheless, he he is talking about the PCC having been created and given millions of dollars to spend to do a job that as of today date they have not successfully completed. Very few people in Belize, if you ask the question, who all are much more educated as per the PCC effort than they were before the PCC came into existence. You ask the average Belizeans that question, ask them if they can raise their hand, indicating that they have learned or they know any much more by virtue of the PCC effort today than they had known before they came into existence. Very few will be able to do that. Maybe some of the lawyers they would probably, because then maybe some of them went back and brushed up on their knowledge about these affairs. But that would be just about it. And maybe well we, because we've been beating that subject, from the time they started. But the bottom line is, sir, that this gentleman is going to intimate that the PCC is tasked with that effort. And their time, he mentioned that they had been given 18 months, which had run out, but he never mentioned that they had given them additional time, which has also run out, and they still have not completed the education part of the program. But yet, they're expected to turn over a report to the Prime Minister that indicates what people's preferences are in regards to the questions that they are posing to the people in ignorance. They never had a good intention towards the effort in the very beginning. They still don't have as of today yet. And I don't know when they'll get on the ball and exercise that goodwill or good faith towards the populace and stop the joke, the jinx the people, and try to use the people then as fodder for the war that they want the people to wage on their behalf. Because if and when they succeed, I say if first, I never say when first, I say if and when they succeed, the powers that they will have in their hands will be much greater than the powers that the people will have left in their hands. And our country then will become a republic of Belize with these jackals running around and doing more criminal stuff to us than they have done before. I yield back, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Brackett.
You're welcome, sir.
Mr. Wade, would you like to pass a short comment before I go to the next step?
Yes, sir. Yes, Mr. Chairman. We all based on that first step you show, it's public knowledge. We all see how that started. First, you have the man, Mr. Chanona, PUP operative. He's the chairman. They elected him for the chairman of that committee to so-called educate the people.
He was
It
former
was
mayor of
started to
Belmopan for the PUP.
to educate the people on your rights. Know your rights. You hear that big? Oh yeah, it was know your rights.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yes, he sit like three other henchmen on the side, and they were about educating the people, on knowing your rights, and they've been around, and that man should be ashamed of himself. How much months? He said 18 months. Mr. Chairman, I beg to ask, how long did Barbados took to change their constitution?
8 years.
Eight
And they
years,
still did not complete it.
right? And this man want to do it. Oh yeah, it's X amount of money for 18 months. These guys, they're a bunch of
Millions of dollars, Mr. Chairman and Mr. Wade.
and Mr. Chairman, not forget, right, that we will educate the entire nation. Visit all nick and crannies of this country. Oh yes, all the villages, they will know. Man, we all know the agenda that this man had, okay? We all know, and see why he belong to? Right? Now he has, Mr. Chairman, he has the report from Chanona in his back pocket now. And at any moment he will spring that, right? Whether he will tear up our constitution, add to it, throw it or flush it down the toilet. Who knows what this man, with me, nothing that this man says, I believe. Anything could happen with this man, Johnny Briceño. Okay? He's a liar, right? He's a conniver, right? That man has no love for this country, right? No love for this country, nor the poor and less fortunate in this country. That's what I have seen, right? Prove me different, and I have 1,000,001 ways to show you where you do not know what you're talking about, right? But yet, he has a way to bamboozle the people, and that whole process here, Mr. Chairman, that the first step was just to bamboozle the people. They have no intention, right, of doing right by our constitution. All their intention is about bastardizing our constitution to suit their agenda, because they have an agenda, right? And the Belizean people will find out very soon. A lot of them will put their hands on their head and say, damn, this is what this man was doing? Huh? Back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Wade. Mr. Wade, I believe, and it goes beyond my belief, it's a proven fact that the present government was using that to facilitate what they wanted done. And as a part of that, they misleaded Mr. Chanona into believing what they were saying to him, that they wanted to educate the people, and then come back afterwards for a second time and ask the people what they wanted removed and what they wanted put in. Let me go to the second tape. I will prove everything tonight that I'm saying. So, gentlemen, I want to keep the conversation to 5 minutes. Let's hear what the Prime Minister had to say.
If we make that decision, probably it will be so. But there's a process to the central bank, and they will come with their recommendations to me as the Minister of Finance, and obviously they will have to take it to the cabinet and on to the National Assembly. In my mind, at least that's the format I would want to be able to follow. But again, I repeat, we're in a position where we're at the point of legalizing, formalizing the appointment of, or the setting up of a constitutional commission. And I'd hope that these are some of the questions that can be answered from the people. We want to hear from them. But I think it's very important to point out, though, that the Queen has been a symbolic figure. And if she's on our note or if she's not, it has nothing to do with the value of the Belize dollar. Yesterday, when I was in Chetumal and I was being asked about that, if our money is going to be devalued, I made a point. Our dollar is tied to the US dollar. So having the Queen's face or even King Charles III's face on the dollar has nothing to do with the values. I just want to assure if there are some Belizeans that may be concerned about that.
People at home and abroad, and gentlemen, this is why when they came around to educate the public to know their rights, they had those sample test questions to get a feedback of what the public wanted. And they actually had like 14 questions up there, but they were interested in only two. Do you, the people, want to keep the GG as head of state, or would you rather have an elected president? Those were the two questions that they were
Hello,
interested in. As I said before, people at home and abroad,
Jackals.
the present government wanted to use this to facilitate their agenda. And I believe Mr. Chanona was caught up in it because I have said on this medium, and you just mentioned it, it's not Barbados, by the way, Mr. Wade, it's
I'm
the
sorry.
Bahamas.
Sorry,
It
sorry,
took
sorry.
the Bahamas eight
Point of correction. Thank you.
years to redo their constitution, and they still not completely get it done right. Before I go to you, gentlemen, I want you to hear people at home and abroad clearly what Mr. Chanona had to say, identical to what we are speaking about the Bahamas.
Next year is the critical work of this commission. This is where the rubber hits the road because all 3,000 questions and responses that we have, that we've harvested from across this country and the diaspora. Remember, we're also talking to people in the diaspora. Belizeans who love their country just as much as we do have a voice. All those questions now need to go on a table and into thematic committees. That is when the work of the commission truly begins. Next year, January to March, and then going forward into public consultation. And why we say we need time? Because your constitution and amending or repealing any aspect of it should not be a hurried exercise. This is a document that's not sacrosanct in the sense that it can't be changed, but it must truly be reflective of what the people want. And we can't rush in and say, okay, we had a consultation, we asked you what you wanted, and we're going to now interpret what you said. We want to go back to the people and said, in January to December, you told us this is what you wanted about education or check and balances or out of office, whatever you were telling us. We have met as a committee. These are the recommendations. Do you agree that what we are recommending is what you said? We have to go back to the people with that. We can't give the Prime Minister a report that has not yet been tested in the public space.
But the Prime Minister don't want them to come back because they already, as I said, have their agenda plan.
Mhm.
So
Shoot on that.
And time.
5 minutes
Ti-
apiece, gentlemen. I go to you first, Mr. Brackett.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Not only do they have their plans, they have their timing, and their timing is getting shot because they never intended was to do a.
Mr. Brackett,
Yes, sir.
now do you see, sir, and people at home and abroad, why I said I think the present government had misled Mr. Chanona? Because he truly believed that he would come back to the people and do it the right way. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. But as I told Mr. Chanona's group before, or not the whole group, but individuals that are initially being solicited and recruited to become members of the commission, some of them, when I try to tell them what the whole gig was about, they say, how am I going to know that when they have not even started putting their organization properly in place? That's how short-sighted they really were, how naive they really were. But let me get off of that part. I want to get back to where I was attempting to answer the specific question you posed. The so-called education campaign has not reached its proper zenith or its proper level, so that the people, as I commented earlier, would have been in a position to have understood and learned any more as of today date than they would have learned and known before the process began. So we're right back to square one. Mr. Chanona is talking about the middle phases of this process. I'm still talking about them having to complete the first preliminary phases of this process. We're all talking about the same subject matter, right? But at different levels, with different approach. And still, with their approach, as he is stipulating it currently on this last tape that you played, they have not completed the task. So why are they going to go and have to give the Prime Minister any recommendation that is not properly vetted? We have more than 2,000 people living in Belize, and more than 2,000 people living abroad that are Belizean. So how the devils are they going to say, well, they got 3,000 questions or answers that they will provide to the Prime Minister, and then claim that they have done a constitutional educational process and having gotten constitutional queries or inquiries and based on the education that they provided, which they have not provided any damn education per se. They provided some jokey gathering there with a few people here and a few people there, and no working effort was done for the people to learn what was really in the Constitution. Very few of those people who went to any of their meetings, except for the professionals them, would have had a constitution from which they would have learned and known what they were being told, whether it was so or not, by looking at a copy of the Constitution. They went out there and they had a little field day, showing up at the people in place, talking over the people in head, and then going back and then, write up some whatever they want to write up and put what they want to put, and then later on, they're probably gone to maybe about 15, 20, or let's exaggerate, right? Let's give them the benefit of the doubt that they had 100 meetings. You see how far I'm willing to exaggerate to stipulate my point or to get my point across? Hopefully people then would realize that, what I'm trying to say has merits. That is that they have not done enough educational effort. People are not any more educated. So how the hell can they go back and say, well, the people then decide that now that they are educated about their constitution, this is what they want, or this is what they want their constitution to reflect. And then the Prime Minister will take whatever they give him, and he and Cabinet will work that process over before they submit it to the House, for the House to vote on, to try and provide some legal basis or some strength or power behind the documentation. Then eventually they want to get the Governor General to assent, or the Deputy Governor General, more likely than not, to assent to get rid of the Governor General herself and her boss, which is what they are after. But they don't got the ballers to pursue the process the right way and with the type of fortitude that will be required to do that kind of seditious activity and sustain their effort. No, they want to hide behind the people in frack or in clothes and say that the people encourage the leaders there to do what the leaders and they try to get done. In
Five
other words,
minutes, Mr. Brackett.
they put the cart before the horse while bamboozling people. But I'll yield back, Mr. Chairman. We
Mr.
have a lot
Wade,
of time to
Thank
deal with
you.
these matters.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Leonard.
You're welcome, sir.
So, right on sequence of events, as far as Mr. Chanona being the chairman of that exercise, he know darn well, right, that it wasn't completed. He know well that it's not right what he was doing to that point. What he should have done, went to Johnny Briceño and the cabinet and said, we need more time. But what he did, man says that report he got from that honorable man, right? I will I will table it to cabinet when that time comes, and then we'll spring to the Belizean people what is our real intention, right? And as you hear the man says, we educate, man. You went to some schools, but the lies that they says that they going to educate the entire country, right? So that is what is there. That is
Lie.
what they are going to use, Mr. Chairman, and to the Belizean people and the world. Well, we educate the entire country, and this is what the people you see. Look at the questionnaires. They don't want the Governor General, and they want the first prime. They want the Belize to have our elected president. See here, this is even the diaspora. Man, these guys are some bunch of criminals, right? In my book, they went over there, right, with all this niceness to the diaspora, knowing damn well that they don't want the diaspora to vote on any election, right? They do not respect the diaspora in that fashion, right? But you hear that, even the diaspora, right? Now, who does it? These guys here, my people, you see the length that these people go to do all, and they have some good attorney behind them to show them little things, not do it so. But then at the end of the day, you have achieve your objective because you're telling here, the people had spoken, we educate in 18 months, right? We done cover the whole country, and this is the way the people want. So sit here, hold it, my people, digest it, eat it, and that is exactly what's going to happen. The agenda is, and we said it on this, they want to turn Belize into a republic. And then People's
Mr.
United
Wade, if I
Party.
may.
Go
Mr.
ahead, Mr.
Wade,
Chairman.
do not forget they do not have a welcome home for the people in the diaspora if they get deported, like they did when they had the amnesty in Arinjoa. Let's not forget that.
Let's not forget. And you see the length and breadth that goes to have the amnesty. But let me touch this amnesty really quick, half a minute. You see all the people that they give Belizean citizenship to. You know what else they give them? Land. They give them place to farm. They give them everything. People from Central American countries. But the ones that that's gonna be deported, like you just mentioned, you think they will get these? They didn't even get a house lot. They probably want to send them straight to jail, some of them. You hear what the commissioner of police say? They are on the lookout, they are on the wait. Oh, they're waiting. Huh? Ban Belizean, they're waiting for, Ban Belizean. Then Belizean know they come ask for no papers. They know they come for ask for citizenship. No, because they're ban here, Mr. Briceño. Right? They're ban here. So the same level of hypocrisy. All owners are a bunch of hypocrites, right? Ignoring rightfully ban Belizean to them birthright, things that they should have or they're entitled to. depriving them of all that, which depriving them of their vote. You and Dean Barrow and the UDP will not do that. Deprive the Belizean people in the diaspora of their vote. Right? Who does that? Well, yet you don't want the millions that comes from the diaspora, though. You beg all the time, though. Right? And that's the way we're going to treat these people when they come back home. So sad. But as far as that Constitution and that tape you play, they're all one. They know their agenda. They know what they want to do, and they know how they will do it to get it, because they don't expect the Belizean people to revolt against them. They don't expect that. We are a passionate. We don't do that, right? So all that, like I says, at the end of the day, these people are connivers, right? No kind of good intention for the Belizean people and the nation. No good intention. All the intention for Mr. Chairman and Leonard is how to get rich and how to get votes, right? And how to enrich themselves and their family and their cronies, past and present. That's all they do in this country, right? Do they equip our healthcare system? Do they equip our government agencies? What they do with them, they rape our government agencies. That's what they do, past and present. They rape it. Rape our lands department, rape our passport, our patrimony. That's what they do, right? I'll say no more, because, these people, like I say, and these are the people that, the people love and vote every time, they vote for them. They vote. Come around there, they then come around, no, my people soon. Next tomorrow, I see some of them in knockdown, no, though, because election is coming.
Thank you, Mr. Wade.
Not you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Wade. People at home and abroad and gentlemen, I will show you how the present government had an open conversation amongst ministers as well as the Defense Department about this Guatemala crisis, and I believe about this constitution reform heading into try to turn Belize into a republic. Because as I always say, these people, they always do what?
Tell on themselves. Nobody tell on them, tell on their own self.
People at home and abroad.
Those who have sense and look at them know what they're doing.
People at home and abroad, I want you to hear what the Heisman for the BDF had to say, and I consider it a real political narrative and a blunder as a joke.
We are in an advisory capacity at this point in time, but so far there are only the ideas that we would want to, the country of Belize would want to go republic or keep the democracy. That will be a two-way street between the people and the government of Belize. I am not concerned. The Ukraine-Russia war teaches a lesson that whenever there is high morale and we want to keep this as our country, we will fight for it. So concern is not, I'm not concerned, and we are not by ourselves. Why should we fear for Guatemalans if the Guatemalans invade? As long as we are properly trained, we have our partnerships to include the United States of America as well, that if something do occur, I don't think that they will be standing on or sitting on the fence.
People at home and abroad, does this man, the
where do we
leader
get
of
this man, Mr. Chairman? Where this man come from?
Mr. Chairman, let me tell Mr. Wade this. Mr. Wade, you need to send that poor gentleman that Sandhurst get some new training, so he could step up the game. That the man talk like, really understand and know what his responsibilities are.
Mr. Chairman, not to cut you across, a private will do better than that man. A private.
Gentlemen, and people at home and abroad, this is exactly what the Prime Minister always said. He took someone that has no talent. Now
My
imagine,
goodness, my goodness. You see what you see?
Oh
they
man.
had, I believe,
Joke. It's a joke, Mr. Chairman.
discussion about everything because this gentleman would not say if the people wants to go and turn Belize to a republic, that is something between them and the government. Somewhere down the line, they had a
Oh man.
conversation about that because
The narrative,
it
Greg, the narrative, like
cannot
you always say.
just come from the blue. The narrative is alive and living well. Now, gentlemen,
Hmm.
I
And
want to go to
Mr.
one
Chairman,
more
one
tip.
statement.
Go ahead, sir.
And these are the people to whom our national security is entrusted. That's it. That's all I want to say. I hope people figure out what I try to say because maybe I say it different than how I should have said it. And I know you say it enough or in a clear enough way for people to get the point. But please take what I just said, spin it around, turn it upside down, however you want, until you get to understand what I just said. Okay? Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you,
Go
Mr.
ahead,
Chairman.
Roody. Go ahead, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. No, gentlemen, I want to go to another tip. I want to run through the tips so we can have open discussion. But as we said before, and I have always stated, the present government does not like referendum. They are always running away from referendum. And tonight, I want to prove it to you, the people at home and abroad. Let's not forget what happened to the churches. Let's not
Oceana.
forget what happened to Oceana. So, the Prime Minister and the Attorney General had used the phrase the PCC Act having a referendum also, knowing well that Belize only have
One
one
constitution at a time.
constitution.
Yep.
But I will show you, people at home and abroad and gentlemen,
Bunch of jokers, man.
what their intention is before I go to the rest of the tape. Let's go back to this.
We wanted to be sure and are now very confident of the petitions that we will submit, that because of re-registration, because most people have their ID cards, and there's also a vetting tool available on the Elections and Boundaries website, we are confident that the numbers that we will submit will stand any true, rigorous, authentic, honest vetting. However, in the past couple of days, comments continue to be made by certain cabinet members in an effort to frustrate the referendum process. Legal comments such as too little, too late, and legal comments such as case law being against the timing of the referendum. We were just about to get legal opinion to be made public when today the Bar Association released a most welcoming statement regarding the authenticity of the referendum process that we are taking and the fact that referendum are a part of an open democratic system. The church is.
Now, gentlemen, you heard that. But as I said before, the government has no intention to do that. Just as how they have no intention to have a referendum over the changing of the Belize Constitution.
Just
I will
talk loud.
show you what their intention really
Be
is.
tasted.
And I want you, the people at home and abroad, to listen to this tape. At the very end, you will hear, because they always do what?
Tell on
Tell.
Tell on
themselves.
themselves and each other.
I have absolutely all respect for the churches and their views and those who support going to the referendum. A lot of the individuals who signed the request or the petition for a referendum actually support this legal industry that we are creating, but they want the Belizean people to decide that. So they're just saying in fairness and in terms of a good democracy, let the people decide. While we support it, let the people decide, and we have to respect that.
And they seem to be convinced that the country will vote against it, or the majority of the people who vote. What's the government's perspective on that?
There has been some polling done, and what I can say based on the polling, a lot of Belizeans recognize that weed is not going anywhere. They take a very practical approach. Even the day after the referendum, if there's a no vote, we will still have cannabis in the country. That's a fact. You can still have 10 grams on you without anybody asking you about it. But what a lot of the people are saying is this vote really is about creating an industry for the country, creating more regulations in place to ensure that young children do not have access to cannabis. And it is also going to provide, specifically in this bill, 20% of all proceeds will go to rehab programs, which do not currently exist. So a lot of the voting population, like I said, based on polling, shows that they understand the issue at hand and that we are trying to make sense out of nonsense.
Contending over turf for the sale of marijuana. What has it been like from your end as a minister in trying to perhaps keep a lid on this situation, as bad as it may be?
Yeah, it is in some ways a sort of legal purgatory, so to speak, Isane, because we have where cannabis was decriminalized in 2017. And while it was applauded at the time that we are actually decriminalizing the possession of 10 grams, nobody stopped to ask themselves, where can I legally purchase this? And so while it is that we can acknowledge that we are moving in the right direction with decriminalization, there had to have been a roadmap whereby shortly after decriminalization, we have to make it a regulated industry, because essentially that is what has taken place. Now that it's decriminalized, the importation of products coming out of Mexico has increased. And what we're getting from Mexico, nobody knows. You don't know if it's laced with fentanyl or with other drugs to make you addicted to that product. We don't know where this cannabis is coming from. And that is really and truly the reason why we have to look at it from the lens of creating that responsible, regulated industry where you're buying something that has information, the percent THC that's contained in that product, where this product came from, what is the strain that is in there, indica, sativa, you name it. And so that is what is missing from the industry. But going back to your point, it has cost us so many lives because it's an illegal trade, especially in Belize City. When I explain that to our friends internationally who are in the cannabis industry, they can't believe it, that we are killing each other in a country because of cannabis. A plant that is supposed to be medicinal in nature, a plant that is supposed to make you chill, relax, so to speak, is the source of so much conflict.
So here's a controversial question then. Do you think that it is a wise decision that we continue this church and state relationship, given that this is a huge problem for us?
I absolutely do. I value the church's presence in our country, and we cannot underscore the importance of having the church in our country and in our schools for guidance. The only thing that I would say is that while we can acknowledge the importance of the church, we also have to look at things from different lens.
Yeah.
What is the cause of the social issues that we're having, particularly in Belize City, and how is it that we can work together with the churches? Because we have conversations with the churches. I had a excellent consultation period with the Council of Churches leading up to the presentation of the bill. It was the church who said perhaps we should move the age from 18 to 21 for you to get your card, for you to qualify to get cannabis. I totally agree with the churches, and we made that change. And so there was an excellent communication and consultation. They had great input in the legislation. And so I was a bit taken aback when a petition for a referendum came.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we're willing to work along with them moving forward. Like I said, next year is a general election, so hopefully we can see that on the ballot.
That's interesting because...
Gentlemen, there you go. The present government have no intention to have a referendum on the marijuana bill. You heard what Mr. Musa said. He is looking to sit on the general election bill. You know what that is saying? They are moving forward. People at home and abroad, just a couple weeks ago, the Prime Minister was on the Morning Show, and he said the identical thing of what Mr. Musa is saying, that
Mr. Chairman?
the kids were killing themselves over marijuana and they hope they can legalize it. Yes, I go to you, Mr. Brackett.
Thank you very much, sir. Does not Mr. Musa recognize the reality that Belize has been classified by the United States government as a narco state? Did that fly over his head? Is he oblivious about those and the consequences of such declaration or impugnment? Secondly, he says he respects the churches. How come he gonna respect the churches if they are trying to peddle something that's gonna do devastated damage to the minds of we people, both young, middle-aged, and old? He claims that they want to make some money off of the stuff. Who do you think will make the money off of the stuff? The young man with up on the corner block with the try sell? The little foot soldiers them? No. It's going to be the same ministers them and then bodies and lockies them. We get them big tract of lands. We want to plant out big amount of that stuff to the point where they have no one to supply the local market, but for export. Does anybody remember, or anybody still alive, we could remember the whole Belize getting out of drug trade? It used to be marijuana that Belizeans used to plant up the road, take it and send to the states through the back, until when the cocaine start run through the country, they use the same people that used to run the marijuana to run the cocaine, because it was an established route and an established process. I know people still alive who know that, and we could remember that. Besides that, you think them bigger guys who got them big farm who got their permit and the license and all the facilities to mass produce and stuff there? While alone and these small guys we have them leave farm where they and grow whatever they grow and sell for make their only money, they will be pushed out of the industry. Whoever is in jail and got into jail for having dealt with the subject before or with the issue before will stay in jail. They never want to talk about, since they legalize the stuff and they want to go to the point now where big people want to get involved and make the big money, that at least the small boys then when they haul up on the street sides and so on, don't get exculpated, don't get turned loose out of jail and stop wasting life in a jail. Because the so-called commissioner of police say, if the judge give any ability when he done arrest them, he come out of jail, even from bail, he and go and rearrest them again and recharge them again. So we are dealing with a well-oiled system that whatever they are telling you up front is never to be accepted as the basis of what really they are after. They're always after the bigger money. That's what it's all about at the end of the day. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Wade?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well said there, Leonard. In time of memorial, we know, what goes on in this country. Public knowledge until up to the U.S. already, State Department had blacklisted this country. Not one time, two time, So, you listen to that man. I can't make sense of what he's saying. And for me, I think he's lying on most of the, he consults this and the churches this and these guys, they say they do things and they do not do what they say they have done, right? Just because nobody will question them after. In terms of the cultivation of this marijuana, guys, my people, if you think that I could go there and ask for a permit to plant 100 acres or 200 acres, you think I will get it?
Nope.
No, this thing is a well-oiled machine. There will be only certain people which are already done to get all the land them in mass numbers, for planting this marijuana, right? They're already getting the land. So the poor man will think they might, I want to leave. Guys want to leave 5 acres or leave 10 acres and leave permit.
No
they don't
way.
even get it.
Nope.
So you hear this man with all the pretty talk and thing. They already know what they're doing, right? And in terms of what you says there, Mr. Chairman, very important, guys, and quickly, they have no intention of honoring any referendum. No intention of doing that, right? So those of us who think that, you hear my cousin there, right, Louis Wade, he says they went ahead and get all the legitimate voters, registered voters, and as prescribed by our constitution, by law, that, to trigger off a referendum, you need to have so many people, and they have to be voters, right? So he went through all that.
And still
Just like others on what they did, right? So, Mr. Chairman, thank you for showing that, because it's just a sober reminder of the kind of people we are dealing with, the kind of people, right? And sadly, Mr. Chairman, what hurts my heart is that we are paying these people to do this to we. We are paying them, right? So sad, right? What they should be doing, they are not doing, right? But we are paying them to do all the evil things to us. You see all the draconian laws, Mr. Chairman, we went through all that, Leonard, and that they pass on certain element of society.
Trying to turn us into
certain element of society in this country.
When they are the scofflaws.
See, Mr. Chairman, the things that happen to the black community, the black areas, not happen in Orange Walk, which one of the biggest drug infested. I don't want to take the nation way back as what I know, right? Because when I talk, I know what I'm talking about. One of the biggest pusher of drugs and cartel is in the North Orange Walk and Corozal, right? For those who do not know, the Prime Minister hometown. If you don't want me to trigger it down smaller, right? So, it's so sad. And what they should be doing, Mr. Chairman, is and Leonard, is to try to put all these people on the street, right? Find somewhere, build some institution. You hear what he wanted? Oh, yeah, we want the proceed going to building rehabs. Man, we shouldn't wait till no damn proceed from no damn marijuana plantation, Mr. Kareem Musa, right? What the hell is wrong with you? That's the responsibility of the government. If you don't know,
Miss,
responsibility. Oh, wait.
Mr. Wade,
Yes, sir.
Go
We're
ahead, Mr.
hearing.
Chairman. They don't want to
We're
hear these
hearing.
things, you know.
if Mr. Wade,
Go ahead, Mr. Chairman. Back to you.
if the marijuana does not have a side effect, why do you need rehabilitation, as they are saying?
Why you need to sell the marijuana to raise the money for deal with the effects?
But gentlemen,
It's just a lie. One lie on top of another lie on top of another lie.
gentlemen, and people at home and abroad, we are dealing with a government who is in denial, and I will prove it tonight. We know that the Belizean justice movement has taken the election and boundaries commission to court.
Belize Peace Movement.
The Belize
Peace
Movement
Chairman.
over
I'm a part of
the redistricting. And
They have taken the
we
Attorney
have
General and the
heard,
government
we
as
have
part of the whole
heard
process to the court.
what the Prime Minister had to say. We had heard his promises when he got elected of how he would have done it shortly after he was elected. We have heard all this back and forth, and again we have heard him say that after election, if they win,
A couple years
he will
after.
make sure the
A couple years after.
redistricting is being done. But people at home and abroad, I want to take you back in time to when the referendum was about to happen. And I want you to hear what the same Prime Minister said back then.
We hear now that according to the Vice President of Guatemala, he is claiming that the Foreign Minister have stated that we will have a referendum in May of this year. Again, I think that the government needs to correct that very quickly, because that is not what has been agreed to. We have made it abundantly clear that the People's United Party will support a referendum only after we have a re-registration exercise. Supposedly, that should take place starting on July of this year. So it would be virtually impossible to have a referendum, well, virtually next month. Maybe the Foreign Minister misspoke, or the Vice President did not really understand what was said to them, but that is an issue between them. Our position is this, that we must have re-registration.
So people at home and abroad, and gentlemen, double standard. You heard what he said?
From way back
The
when.
referendum should not take place until they have re-registration. So why can't he say that today? The general election will not take place because we need to do the redistricting.
Exactly.
Like I say, they always tell on themselves. Double standard. Now, gentlemen, I want to go to a tape. I again want to go to the Deputy Prime Minister, and I want to bring back the words that he had said. We needed a new identity, but I want to play this tape for a special reason.
Oh, that's a big deal. We are mighty proud of that decision. I mean, ultimately, it's about independence, it's about sovereignty, it's about stating our right as an independent nation, asserting our sovereignty, asserting our independence, asserting our identity, our nationhood. It's about our people, and ultimately, the Queen was on our money for way too long. I know if we don't have the Queen, we're going to have the King. It's an opportunity for us to do something different, for us to make a very clear statement to our people that we have the right to self-determination, we have a right to assert ourselves, we have a right to lead ourselves, and ultimately the agreement is that our two national heroes will be put on the money. The late Right Honorable George Price and the late Honorable Philip Wilson, man, who can argue with that?
And when can Belizeans expect the new money in circulation?
Yeah.
I think it's later this year.
Now, gentlemen and people at home and abroad, I want to go back to something that was said by the Honorable Philip Golson. And exactly what Mr. Golson said is happening today.
Before you play the Mr. Golson thing, can I say something about Mr. Hyde's statement?
Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. I think I'll try not to be long because I don't want to abuse the time we're running. Why would Mr. Hyde be so provocative to make that kind of stupid statement there when the man is a little bit smarter on how he came off? What he was trying to do was be political. Okay? But how the hell you add politics to we economy and say that we want to do what we want because we are independent, we want to do what we want with free money. When free money pegged to the American dollar, did he have the decency or the sensibility enough to consult America in terms of changing free money and still expect that they want to give you 2 for 1? One simple question like that, right? I talk about economics now. As a matter of fact, did he check before he make that statement to realize that we may have Mr. Trump right now in our office? Whether look for eviscerate the economic standings of all the Caribbean countries then and every Southern American country, including part of the North American country, as Canada, for example. These idiots who running around pretending that they have such powers to want to exercise powers without knowledge or understanding, and they refuse to learn anything that they need to know because they didn't born knowing what they need to learn. They're playing hijinks game with we patrimony of we country and we powers we entrust to them. I wish when somebody like Mr. Hyde would I take back what he said and think it over and be more honest with the Belizean people rather than trying to bamboozle us on behalf of his boss. Okay? Because they have their agenda going. And he as a black man shouldn't be putting himself in that situation where he is allowing the whole of we patrimony to be put on the chopping block just because he wants to support his prime minister. There are times when people have to step to the plate and stand up and be strong on behalf of their country and even give their life sometime when in battles. Now, he not give no life or limb in no battle. The least he could do is fight on behalf of the people and the country against other people that are trying to subvert and destroy what is available to the other people. Why? Because it don't make a difference to them because they are stinking rich and they have scraped enough of the wealth and patrimony of the country onto themselves so that they don't care if the country goes belly up as regards to what's going on in the international affairs right now, as well as all local affairs in Belize as a country. Then guys need to step to the plate or get the hell out of the way because I tell you, karma and come at them in a vengeful way and they don't even know where hit them. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Brackett. Now, people at home and abroad, I will play a tape and I want you to hear what was said from it.
And again, reflected on history and the foresight of the late Philip Golson.
When we were going into independence, 1980 to 1981, Philip Golson said to the then government, before you go into independence and before you take independence, you must postpone independence until you get the necessary defense guarantee for the country of Belize. because if you don't get the necessary defense guarantee for the country of Belize, this is what Philip Golson said, the Guatemalans will encroach on our boundaries, they will encroach on our waters, the Sarstoon waters, they will bully us in the Sarstoon. That's the word you use, bully. And they will bully us on our borders. This is what was said by Philip Golson. He was replied to by the then government. We have a defense, we have the sense support from the British government. And the defense support from the British government will be for an appropriate period. Golson then asked what? What is an appropriate period? Nobody could have tell Mr. Golson what an appropriate period. And they refused to tell Mr. Golson what is an appropriate period. And Golson said to them, whenever that appropriate period is run out, you will see the Guatemalas encroaching on our borders and trying to take this country piece by piece until they devour us. That was the words and the wisdom of Philip Golson back there in 1980 and 1981. Now I want you all to understand me quite clearly. I am not anti-independent, you know. Please understand me clearly. I am just explaining to you all how Golson looked at the situation back then. And everything he said back then is coming to light.
Now, people at home and abroad, you heard that. And as a part of going to the ICJ, we always ask and we ask, but nobody can really step forward from the government and tell us what Guatemala is claiming. So tonight, I want to show to you, the public and at home and abroad, what Guatemala is claiming. And as I said before, if this government turn this country into a republic, we will become a part of Guatemala. Let's say it.
Hay avances para el desarrollo de la consulta popular el 18 de marzo del próximo año. Para ello se coordina la campaña informativa que se dará a conocer a la población para acudir a las urnas y votar sobre la resolución del diferendo limítrofe en la Corte Internacional de Justicia.
Ellos están preparando todo el material y tomando todas las medidas necesarias para que a partir del año entrante se incluya en los textos escolares el tema y el mapa completo, con una línea punteada y la mención territorio en disputa.
Cancillería confía en la decisión de los ciudadanos en acudir a un ente internacional de resolución de disputas territoriales, tal y como se registró en Costa Rica y Nicaragua.
El reclamo es total. ¿Cuánto vamos a recuperar? Será la Corte Internacional de Justicia la que decida eso. Respetamos el derecho de autodeterminación de los beliceños. Entonces, si ellos en su momento quieren ser guatemaltecos, ellos, la misma Constitución de Guatemala, los reconoce como guatemaltecos. Si no, pues se quedarán en el territorio que la Corte les asigne.
Por el momento no se ha recibido el apoyo de ningún país cooperante para el desarrollo.
People at home and abroad and gentlemen, I hope you understand what I just played. You heard what the gentleman said? They want the whole thing, the whole of Belize. And whatever they get, the people who is caught up in it can become Guatemalans per their constitution. Now imagine, this is the whole enchilada. So I want you, the people at home and abroad, to keep it in mind, because this present general election will decide if we will remain democratic under a parliamentary constitution with a head of state, or if we will have a president and we go republic. Mr. Wade, I go to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Quickly, most of the things that that man says in Spanish, I don't understand most of it, but I know about it. I know about it on the English part. I've been there. I I followed it because I was one of the three soldiers that lowered on 21st September 1981, lowered the British flag and replaced the Belize flag. Okay, so and all the intricacies of what is Belize, where we have our borders, and Mr. Golson foreseeing these things, right? This man, he had seen this thing coming, and it's coming out to light, Mr. Chairman, and people at home and abroad. And I've said when on opening up, I said, a lot of Belizeans do not know why we are at the ICJ. So I just hope that you shed some light now to those who had second thought, right? And I says that the ICJ will be crucial, my people, because we have to have a winner and a loser, right? And God forbid, right? So, my people, there you have it. I will not say much more, but I hope that our show tonight brings some clarity and I hope it educate us a little bit more things that we didn't know, right? And when we first opened the show, I said that we believe is in election mode, right? And those of us who are at home, we know that what's going on, right? And who have us in this situation? The same two-party system that we talk about. They are the one that has us in the same situation and pertain to the same map that Gregory played, the chairman played just now.
Special agreements.
They are the
Side
one that
deals.
has us the way we are today, 2025. So whatever lick we get, we need to blame them, right? Because better could have done. And you hear even the least CBDF ballet, the lead a friend or whoever in politics, and he get the lead poster, right?
Tapia.
You know what? I go back to that real quick, Mr. Chairman. What that man think that the U.S. will help defend? When a guy he's still there at Pachacan or Shaibi or somewhere and Eli Picado Road and he live. You don't know what it happened?
You don't understand no geopolitical issues.
There you
That's
go.
why I
There
make
you
any
go,
kind of
Leonard.
mistake.
So you know what? That CBDF, I sorry for him, I sorry for that guy, right? And being sorry for him, cause a ripple effect and cause our BDF to be suffering, right? And the things that they're going through because they do not have a leader.
In the interest of time, can I make a little comment before we close up?
Go ahead.
In regards to this same Belize Guatemala issue and what is it that Guatemala wants from Belize? Or why is it that we're at the ICJ? When they were negotiating and bantering back and forth between the Belizeans and the Guatemalans, them, and then go drink them tequila and then stuff and have them fun and whatever it's not. Then ask the Guatemalan ambassador whether they were actually going for half of Belize or the whole of Belize. And for the ambassador, who was the person that posed the question, Mr. Martinez, by the way, calling names again. I like calling names so people can understand and contextualize the facts and put the in context. Um, he asked the Guatemalans then the question. They said that right now the only they sue with are the International Court of Justice for half, but then after that, then they go back and sue for the next half. So if we ambassador told them they can't do that, that they have to decide once and for all what is it they're trying to sue for. Of course, in their constitution, in Guatemala's constitution, they say Belize, Belize es nuestro y lo conseguiremos por la razón o la fuerza, which means Belize is ours and we will get it by reason or by force. And they have been smart enough and consistent enough to the point of suborning our leaders to operate as captured agents on behalf of foreign powers to bamboozle and make agreements with them in their favor to the point where from the ICJ proposal right now, even if they're only half, then they go after. They may not even get the whole half. But what they have and what they have gotten and are exercising current powers over, they will not see it or give back. So any which way out of this process of going to the ICJ, they will end up with something from Belize. Belize will end up getting nothing from them, but they will end up getting something from Belize. Why? Because of we treacherous, treasonous leaders who either could not have foresighted these issues or were in on the gig from the get-go. But some of them will know how barley grow when karma visits them. But
Mr. Wade,
Mr. Chairman,
the closing, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Leonard. It's always a pleasure to sit in your company. And to those who text in, you commented, Leonard, Mr. Chairman, right? Robina Fort, good night. Byron Contreras, my buddy. Good night to all. God bless. Say good night, Mr. Roody. And anyway, time is of an essence, but all those who support us in texting in and viewers, and those who watch us later on, Leonard, across the world, and the diaspora, want to thank them for their constant support, right? We talk truth to power here. We don't, take either side. We call it as it is. It's always a pleasure to sit in your company there, Mr. Chairman and Leonard. And I'm looking forward for a nice show on Wednesday. And may God continue to bless this country. And I ask again to our medium here, please, my people, in election coming, that is going to come, please let us show this two-party system that has us and all the things that we played and we talk about. They are the one that has us where we are today, 2025. Do we still want them to keep doing this to we? The choice will be in your hands, right? On the ballot, there will be the Belizean Justice Movement, right? The watermelon color. You will see a red and a blue on the watermelon color. Please support us, right? For change. The only change that will be on that ballot. The only change, the word change. If not, stick to your UP and your UDP. See if you will get the change that you so rightfully deserve. On that note, I want to say good night and thank you again, Mr. Chairman, for showing and telling. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you, Mr. Wade. As a reminder, I want to remind the Belizean people at home and abroad, especially, we need to check the election ballot to make sure the government does not try to input a marijuana bill or the People Constitution bill on that ballot. Please be aware of it because those two bills comes under national security and it must go to a referendum. With that said, I would like to say good night.